there, good evening. I was digging through the Mr. Vague band catalog, looking for a tune to do how to play Mr. Vague songs, and Maureen Courtney popped up. Maureen Courtney, who is Maureen Courtney, you might ask. I was digging through a newspaper. I don't know if it was the Philadelphia Inquirer or the Doylestown Intelligencer, or as we used to call it, the Misspelligencer, or whatever we used to call it. But there was just a little blurb, a little article, like in one of the back pages or whatever. A woman, she was a Catholic nun. The song, I've got the notes from the song. It was written in 1990. We played it for a couple of years at live shows. So the newspaper was before that. I don't even know what year, and it relates to I think the Civil War in Nicaragua. Maureen Courtney was I think a woman. She was a Catholic nun from Cincinnati or Cleveland, one of the, like a Midwestern town, city in the U.S.
Now what a doofus. How can you forget this?
And she went down there as a missionary into Nicaragua with a church group, and got obviously caught up in this civil war. And they were in a church van one night, and this is what the article said. It was an article, basically her little mini obituary. She had died in Nicaragua, gotten killed. But the church van full of some nuns and whoever else was driving to a village, and I'm not even sure whether it was the rebels. You know, back then in Nicaragua there was the Sandinistas, and there were the Contras, the Llamadas, the FDN. So there were all these groups, and some of them were coming into power and fighting against each other. And so I'm not even sure who attacked the van. I'd have to do more research, but this was a long time ago. But the van was rocket grenades were shot at the van, and machine gun fire and all that, and a bunch of people got killed. And Maureen Courtney was one of the poor souls that did get killed. And so I looked at that and I'm like, my gosh, she was just down there trying to teach the kids about a lot of good things that there were in the world, and she, unfortunately got caught up in the things that aren't too good in the world, and lost her life. So it was kind of that irony that she's there teaching them about love and peace. And on the other hand, you've got a civil war. Belle the Shih Tzu's running around right here. You've got a civil war going on with the Sandinistas and Contras and the FDN and the Nicaraguans and whatever else was going on. And the U.S. was involved with that too. And I don't want to get into a long political discussion, but U.S. I believe was backing the Contras. So anyway, I read that and I figured, oh gosh, this something to write a song about. And so that's the genesis of the song called Maureen Courtney. And we're going to break it down now, and we'll teach you how to play it. How to play a Mr. Vague song. There's really, 2 or 3 parts to this. There's a verse that has a choppy guitar line that kind of sounds like this. That gives you the idea. Okay, so that's the verse. Do 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 do. and the vocals kind of play along with that little kind of bass guitar line or whatever. The bass mirrored that guitar line too, I believe. And the verses along with the vocal portion sounds like this. So that's kind of how the melody fits in. It's again, it's not that complex or pretty of a melody. It just follows those bouncing, staccato-y kind of notes.
They say 'twas the saints who had lived like this among the devastation. Far from the center of his nation.
So that is the verse. And then there's kind of a, what would you call it? A pre-chorus, or yeah, I guess it's kind of a pre-chorus. So you've got this. And right after that last vocal line in the verse, it goes up. It does a walk up kind of. Doo ba doo boop, ba doo ba doo doo, ba doo ba doo boop, ba doo ba doo boo, boo doo doo doo, doo 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 doo, doo 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 doo, doo 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 doo. Okay, that's a little complicated, and it's kind of hard to explain, and it's easier when I put the words against it. If I do sing along with it, it sounds like this. I'll do a chunk of the first verse. They traveled by night while the air was still to the people of the land. A rocket grenade was launched to kill. Bullets showered the church van. And in the morning the children line up to learn about the way the world should be. And Sister Maureen, and it goes back up to that A. So we've got, in the morning, the pre-chorus would be, in the morning the children line up to learn about the way the world should be. And Sister Maureen Courtney tells them the wealth of love in this land of poverty. So, and you can see I'm making some mistakes here too, because again, I'm not making excuses. Well, maybe I am, but I've not played it in 30 years. So you've got that the verse, and it starts to bounce leading off of this A. The verse itself is kind of in an E minor. They traveled by night while the air was still, the people of the land. You know, bouncing with that kind of B as a tonal right there in a sort of minor key. And in the morning, and it does that walk up and kind of pick up notes into the pre-chorus. And in the morning the And in the morning the children line up to learn about the way the world should be. And Sister Maureen Courtney tells them the wealth of love in this land of poverty. And that little kind of bounce of notes there, that little down a ladder, if you'll call it that, leads into the chorus. So you've got that dun, 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 bam, 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 and that's on an A, and we're going down to an E minor. So from the pre-chorus now. And in the morning the children line up to learn about the way the world should be. And Sister Maureen Courtney tells them the wealth of love in this land of poverty. Into the chorus. Sister Maureen Courtney, and that's now we're into an E minor. Sister Maureen Courtney, you're an angel now. That was an E minor to an A, to a B minor. The hand of God at your A or G, A, and now back to the E minor. Though grenades explode in a fiery heat, the world is getting much colder. That's it, and that's the chorus. The chorus is just those two lines. Sister Maureen Courtney, you're an angel now, the hand of God at your shoulder. Though grenades explode in a fiery heat, and I'm reading it here, the world is getting much colder. Da 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 da. Now that's along with the pre-chorus, if in my humble opinion, they're both nice melodies. The verse is percussive to give you that feel of bouncing around in a church van and bullets and rockets flying around. It's more ba-doo-ba-doo-boop. But when you've got her going to see the kids in the morning, and in the morning, you got this nice bouncy melody. And in the morning, the children line up to learn about the way the world should be. And Sister Maureen Courtney tells them the wealth of love in this land of poverty. Bum, 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 bum. Now the chorus, Sister Maureen Courtney, you're an angel now, the hand of God at your shoulder. Though grenades explode in a fiery heat, the world is getting much colder. And then you're back into another verse. Now that's it for the basis of the structure of the song. The words, if you sang them all in a row, they're probably a minute long, but the song we would play it probably 10, sometimes 15 minutes long. We would, at the end of the song, we would jam over this. We would jam over that section with me basically playing that little line on a guitar, Billy Bubba on bass at the time, playing that bass line, Michael on drums, hammering out the rhythm, Valerie banging on some kind of percussive gizmo, and the spotlight was on our keyboard player Jeffrey the Wizard, who would do an extended keyboard solo. And it was a fun song to play. And there was a cue somewhere in the solo in Jeff's, it sounds like this. So Jeff would do a cue in from his keyboard, and then the full band would come in and go kind of do the the lead-in line to the chorus 4 times. Do, 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 do. We would do 4 of those. And on the 4th one, we would go. And then it would fall, you know, we'd do one last chorus, and the song would end right there. So anyway, that covers it. Hope you do groove on the song. Give it a listen. Check out the other tunes and leave some comments. Please subscribe. Thank you. Oh, we're going to get Dr. Shank to go over the lyrics. Dr. Shank teaches over at the local university, English 101, English composition, and he teaches some electronic engineering classes too. He's an interesting cat, Dr. Shank. Doctor, you're all set? Okay. I'll see you later.
Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Dr. Shank. I've got the official lyric sheet here. Oh, itchy ear, too. Of a song called Maureen Courtney. I listened to the playback, of the basis of what this song is about, and I found it very interesting. Mr. Bag picks up on some of those little subtle, itchy nose too. Some of those, those little things, and he makes a song out of them. There goes that ear again. Anyway, I don't know how he does it, but I read through these, and my gosh, Maureen Courtney, written in parentheses, 1990. Ooh, I wasn't even born then. Okay, the first verse, and there's not many lyrics, it's one of those very quick songs, and he has a couple notes down here too about some of the acronyms and things. I don't know, I don't know what he's talking about sometimes, but I can Google it. Okay, first verse. They traveled by night while the air was still to the people of the land. So this sets up, this is classic creative writing. And I teach that class, by the way, over at the university. He's setting up the setting, okay? And this is just a quick song. It's not a, Ulysses or a giant novel or anything like that. But a story needs a setting to start off. You have to know where you are to put the reader, or the listener in this case, into that specific spot where things are going to happen. Okay, so it's nighttime. They traveled at night while the air was still. That means it's quiet. Gosh, what is it with this ear, I don't know. I got something in there or something. So they traveled by night while the air was still to the people of the land. That basically tells me that it's quiet, and they're being secretive, and they're traveling to see people. Let's see what's next. Second line. A rocket grenade was launched to kill. Bullets showered the church van. Whoa. That tells me that these people that were traveling at night were in a church van, okay? And some other folks shot bullets and grenades, and not good. And then the free chorus, as they call it. And in the morning the children line up to learn about the way the world should be. So kids are lining up to be taught how the world should be. And Sister Maureen Courtney tells them the wealth of love in this land of poverty. Interesting here, the first verse puts you in the setting, but the van is blown up by bullets and grenades. So whatever's there is you know, whoever was in the van it's over. They're gone. But it kind of shifts in time to the morning during a normal day, I guess, when Sister Maureen Courtney would go teach these kids that were lined up. She would tell them the wealth of love in this land of poverty. And Sister Maureen Courtney tells them the wealth of love in this land of poverty. So it's a four-place, and she's teaching them the wealth of love. Isn't that an interesting, have you heard that term before, the wealth of love? It's interesting. I've not heard that before. Anyway, now the chorus. Sister Maureen Courtney, you're an angel now. The hand of God at your shoulder. Though grenades explode in a fiery heat, the world is getting much colder. Ooh, some play on words here. And you can see that Sister Maureen Courtney is no longer with us. She has passed on. She's an angel now. The hand of God is at her shoulder. Though grenades are exploding in this heat and devastation, that's a good word because it's used later in the song. The world is getting much colder. Oh boy. Mr. Biggs, very interesting. I'll say that. Okay, now the next verse second verse gets a little confusing to me because I'm not familiar with much of the history in this Central America and things like that back in whenever this was. I think it was the late 70s. Civil War, you know. Now the Llamadas, I think that's the correct pronunciation, and the FDN, that's F as in Frank, DN, are in their jungle forts. And the Sandinistas say that they're to blame to stop the U.S. support. So here, Mr. Begg is getting into the spider web that's been webbed between these different factions. I don't know if that's the spider web now. He's trying to explain in two sentences these different factions and entities, if you'll call it that are involved in the Civil War. You have the Sandinistas. Remember that Clash album? Around the same thing. And the FDN. I had a frog in my throat. And the FDN. Now the FDN is the Nicaraguan Democratic Force. I'm reading a note here. And they were a right-wing rebel group opposed to Marxist Sandinistas, which came into power in 1979. I hope I'm getting this right. So there was in any case, I'm glad there's peace there now, and this was all going on. It's, some crazy stuff with these different populations of people, and different armies, rebels and Contras, and if you watch some, United States was involved in all that. I think they might have messed up the structure of this when Mr. Vague was talking about it. I think this is another verse. Yeah. So the pre-chorus and the chorus, this is a third verse actually. So we've gone over the second verse. Now this third verse, they say she was a saint. They're talking about Maureen Courtney here. They say she was a saint to have lived like this among the devastation. Far from Milwaukee, I guess that's where she was from. Far from me and you, the center of damnation. This kind of reminds me of that song, Window to the Universe, that I did a lyric explanation about probably last year. I think, the way this is written, it kind of explains what's going on. A little of an opinion, but it lets the listener or the reader kind of make their own decision, more or less. but it just really says that Maureen Courtney was a saint to have lived like this. She's helping these people in this place where maybe she shouldn't be. And she's far from her safe home in Milwaukee, far from me and you. So she's going out on a limb here to help some people because that's what she believes is right. The center of damnation is where she was at that time. But of course, the chorus, again, comes back at you. Sister Maureen Courtney, you're an angel now. The hand of God at your shoulder. Though grenades explode in a fiery heat, the world is getting much colder. Well, I guess that is kind of a strong opinion if I said otherwise a short minute ago. Oh, wow. Anyway, good lyrics, catchy tune, difficult subject. Yeah. As V-Man always says, any kind of music is better than any kind of war. Okay. With that, I'll say see y'all later. Did I say y'all? I've been down here in South Carolina just too long. I'll talk to you later.
Yeah. Any kind of music is always better than any kind of war.
I'll put the link to the song in the description. It's a good tune. You should check it out. Hope you enjoy it. Thanks for tuning in. Got Bella the Shih Tzu right here. Bell, you okay? You want to go out and go peepers? Yeah, we're going to go outside and do a peeper.
Sister Maureen Courtney, you're an angel now. The hand of God at your shoulder. Grenades explode in a fiery heat. The world is getting much colder, colder, colder. Thank you.